Hola amigos y amigas de este canal.
Hola amigos y amigas de este canal, ¿cómo les va en la vida? Hoy vamos a ver lo que sería el lanzamiento del Falcon 9 en la misión CRS-23, que es de reabastecimiento para la Estación Espacial Internacional, así que disfrútenlo. Pero antes que nada, queremos avisarles que ya activamos, bueno, ya está abierto nuestro server de Discord. Les dejaré el enlace al servidor aquí en la descripción. Así que ya, comencemos con esto.
Good morning, Megan. It's really exciting to be here covering today's mission in partnership with NASA. It's the third Dragon flight to the space station this year, and also the
Va a
third
ser
cargo resupply mission
periodista
with our upgraded Dragon.
de esta vez, el que nos va a guiar a todo el procedimiento, o sea, de lo que ya sabemos, de la info chidorífica.
Following a successful launch, this Dragon will be joining the Crew 2 vehicle Endeavour, currently on orbit and attached to the International Space Station. It's going to be cool to see two Dragons once again docked to the International Space Station. Now, looking ahead for the rest of the year, we have two more planned missions for Dragon before year end. That's including both crew and cargo missions.
Esta ya va a ser la segunda. Ah, la segunda cápsula Dragon acoplada en la Estación Espacial Internacional. Recordemos que la otra cápsula es la Crew Dragon, de la Crew 2. Tenemos un video de eso, vayan a verlo, el lanzamiento y el acoplamiento. Bueno, ahora ya solo vamos a hacer los lanzamientos, acoplamientos, pues ya no más. Así que ya, pues.
To accelerate the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere to space and then separate from the rest of the rocket. Now, this is the fourth flight for today's first stage, which actually previously supported both the Crew 1 and
Ok, dice que es ya el cuarto vuelo de la primera etapa y va a ser recuperada en el mar Antártico por la barcaza. No sé cuál es la barcaza. Perdón. Ni modo.
It has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine, which ignites after the first stage separates. The second stage is what will carry Dragon to its intended orbit, allowing the spacecraft to eventually rendezvous with the International Space Station.
Lo de siempre. Ahí ya, lo de siempre. De lo que el motor de la segunda etapa se activa, apenas se separa de la primera y a todo el chidorífico show. Estamos a 18 minutos de lanzamiento. También ahorita acaba de decir que la cápsula que utilizan en estos momentos también es reutilizada como en la primera etapa. Ya no escuché muy bien a cuántos vuelos tiene esa.
The only spacecraft currently flying that's capable of transporting significant amounts of cargo to and from the Earth. We'll go into a little bit more detail on some of that research later in today's broadcast, and we'll discuss how Dragon is actually enhancing the research capabilities of the International Space Station. But for now, I'll send it back to you, Megan.
All right, thanks, Andy. And now I want to bring in Joshua Santora. He's also with NASA Communications. Joshua, how's it looking so far?
Technically, things are going well. Weather is a story that just keeps getting worse.
Que trabaja en las comunicaciones con, o sea, bueno, en la NASA. Para controlar todo lo que sería el lanzamiento del Falcon 9. Dice que el clima, todo va bien. Esperan, bueno, todo indica que sí va a salir bien. Ahí podemos ver la velocidad del viento, la temperatura actual. Obviamente en Fahrenheit, no es centígrados.
Situations like this clear up in the past, so fingers crossed going forward. Appreciate the folks over at Space Force, Space Launch Delta 45, specifically our launch weather officer, Brian Sizik, supporting us. Again, we'll continue to track that, but that is something that we just can't control. The things that we can control are going really well, which started at T-minus 35 minutes with the fueling of the first stage. We're about to start the fueling of the second stage at about T-minus 16 minutes. And then jumping ahead, we would have T minus 7 minutes would be the Falcon 9 engine pre-launch engine chill. T minus 5 minutes would mark the Dragon transitioning to internal power for terminal count. In the final minutes, we'd expect to hear calls for propellant tanks pressurized for flight, and the SpaceX launch director verifying the team is go for launch. So our liftoff is still targeted for 3:37:23 Eastern time. That time is so precise because we do have a single second in order to rendezvous with space station, and that's why the weather kind of is what it is situation where when we get to T0, if the weather's not good, we cannot fly. We'll have to try again another day, which we do have an attempt available for us tomorrow morning if the teams can recycle in time for that. Docking would be targeted for tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, with coverage picking up at 9:30 Eastern time tomorrow morning. So, Megan, like I said, technically, it's been a smooth countdown, nice and quiet.
Él dice que hay la posibilidad de que no haya vuelos, a las condiciones en estos momentos para volar sí son buenas, pero hay la probabilidad de que cambie bruscamente el clima y pasen el lanzamiento para el día de mañana 29. Copyright inminente es eso.
Amazing that we have kids sending science to space. I've got my mask on now because I'd like to introduce you to Anna Claire Beaton. Anna Claire, can you tell everyone right now how old you are?
I'm 8 years old.
That is amazing. I mean, how does it
Ok, bueno, dicen que están realizando, ahí se fue muy alto el volumen ya, un programa para que los niños de Estados Unidos también puedan mandar ciencia al espacio. Así que ya, ahí está entrevistando. Dice que tiene 10 años de edad. Dice que le gustan mucho los cohetes. Que es la primera vez que ve el lanzamiento en persona.
I'm studying ants to see if they can still tunnel. And right now they're just moving along trying to get used to the gel before they go up to space.
Yeah, and that gel is kind of
Ok, parece van a hacer experimentos con hormigas.
Yeah, and what are you going to be looking
Le van a mandar fotos todos los días de cómo se va desarrollando su experimento de las hormiguitas. A ver cómo actúan las hormiguitas
So they said, hey, can you pitch a science experiment? How did that happen?
I heard my mom told me about the project and I just wanted to do it so bad. So my mom printed out the papers started doing the instructions.
Yeah, and I know you love ants. You have an ant farm at home, so this is a perfect
Ok,
opportunity
dice
for you,
que
and I'm so
hasta
happy for
hablando,
you. Thank you, Anna Claire.
estaba hablando de cómo,
Thank
cómo
you.
fue que se
All right, so
enteró
Anna Claire's experiment was loaded
del
onto Dragon
programa,
only 21
así
hours
que
ago.
ya,
Here's video
la mamá le contó del proyecto que tenía la NASA. Uy.
Experiment that needed to be packed into Dragon as close to launch as possible. You see them there. They're all in the appropriate gear to carefully move each of the experiments into there. Again, this is a very demanding operation that they need to do again to make sure that those science experiments are safe up there. And Dragon's
Ok,
design
ya estaba
really helps us
hablando.
facilitate as
Ya.
much science as possible. Andy,
A ver, de lo que se enteró de
this
eso que la mamá le dijo y ya, pues, simplemente se puso manos a la obra. Ya. Ahorita estaba hablando de cómo se transportó el experimento de Ana a la crew. Bueno, no es la crew, la cargo dragón, eso. Que fue manipulada de forma delicada para enviarlo a la Estación Espacial Internacional.
This is especially helpful when there is limited to no space on the station for additional science, and also helps cut down on the amount of time the crew has to move payloads in and out of Dragon. For CRS-23, there are 3 extended lab payloads launching with the mission, and once docked, a 4th, which is currently already on the space station, will be added to Dragon. We are just under 10 minutes and counting. The Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft are out on the pad and awaiting liftoff in a few minutes from now.
Ok, estamos a
send it
10
back over to you,
minutos del
Megan.
lanzamiento de el
Thanks,
Falcon
Andy.
9.
But what happens to the science once it arrives at space station? Let's take a special tour with some of the astronauts on board to find out. Actually just got some bad news. I just heard from my producer that today's launch attempt has ended in a scrub. Let's head on over to Andy at SpaceX to get more details about what happened.
Ok, al parecer sí cambiaron el lanzamiento, pero no mucho. El clima ya está empezando a empeorar. Lo atrasaron 15 minutos o... Ah, no. Mañana, no, ni modo. mañana va a ser el próximo lanzamiento, así que ni modo.
Tomorrow, Sunday, August 29th, 3:14 a.m. Eastern Time. Our launch coverage will begin here on NASA TV and the SpaceX webcast at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Time. So I hope you set your alarms and join us here again tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Bueno, ya no hubo lanzamiento, ni modo, el lanzamiento va a ser el día de mañana a la misma hora por el mismo canal. Así que nos vemos mañana. Únanse a nuestro servidor de Discord. Recuerden que ya está abierto. Así que yo me despido. Será hasta mañana. Adiós.